It's a 40% decrease in my pension.
It comes to about 14 grand a year loss for me.
By the time we get to 80 years old, if you run it to parallel to where the TPS would be, you would run out of money.
It's made clear by the people that the Trust have provided that the scheme that is being proposed is nowhere near as good, and it is dependent on the performance of the stock market.
The great thing about the TPS is it's ring-fenced. It's not based on how interest rates go and how the economy's doing.
Leaving the TPS itself is a very risky decision, and I don't really feel that a clear business case has been put forward for that.
The main business rationale was that expenditure could be feasibly higher than income by 2024-2025, based on two highly contentious assumptions. The first is that the employer contribution to the teachers' pension scheme will increase from 23% to 30%. There is no basis for that whatsoever. And the second is that business rate relief, currently enjoyed by independent schools, is going to be taken away. And again, there is no basis for that. We know that income has been higher than expenditure for the past 5 years, and even with the Trust predictions, they're saying income will be higher than expenditure for the next 3 years.
Their reserves are above what their auditors have set. They have capacity for loans of about 54 million. They have investments in the hundreds of millions. So for them to say that need to save £4 million a year on the TPS, how much have they invested in this proposal?
Staff at head office have talked quite a lot about the upside of flexibility, but no amount of flexibility can make up for that amount of financial loss.
This flexibility seems to be being marketed as something that we want so that we can pay for childcare, so that we can pay for housing costs. And that feels rather irresponsible, because we shouldn't be encouraging staff, particularly younger staff, to not pay into their pension in favour of these other things.
There are so many different models and so many different ways that you can put things in. The age at which you retire, whether you choose an annuity or whether you choose a drawdown.
It just gives you zero certainty about over a period of your life where you actually, that's what you want, that's what you need, is some certainty in your retirement, to know that you can actually fund yourself, to fund care that you might need for yourself.
We're certainly not earning as much as our graduate peers in other professions. So part of the deal has been that we have a very secure and relatively generous pension. I don't want to have to, with this new pension, essentially rely on my husband. I feel that's kind of going back in time a little bit.
My wife has ME, and although she's like 9.5 years younger than me, she wants to retire when I retire, because I would have been able to afford to cover bills because of the TPS. And now I don't think we can do that. And that's going to affect her health.
We've suddenly been put on notice about the fact that they're just going to take our contracts and change our contracts, and we then have a choice to say we want to sign the new contract or look for another job, which again is quite a shocking thing.
It feels like a huge betrayal that they triggered fire and rehire straight away. It feels like a done deal, and that we're not going to get a fair consultation. They wrote to the parents, half an hour after they told the staff.
Fire and rehire is something that I don't think the GDST should be associating itself with at all. Every single corner of the political spectrum seems to be in agreement that it's a really unethical practice.
I was just really shocked. I didn't think that was the way that the GDST family worked. That's not looking after your own.
I just thought the timing, after everybody had worked so hard during various lockdowns to provide meaningful and helpful education.
We did not lose any learning. We worked our socks off during the pandemic. We worked so hard to make sure when the girls came back in that we supported them.
Their mental health really, really took a massive blow during the lockdowns, and I think that we've become more than just teachers. We've had to help the parents get through it as well.
To be told at that time that actually we've had a team working on taking away your pensions while you've been working hard, that really upset people. Really, really upset people.
I've always been really, really proud to work for the GDST. I've always felt like they were a good employer, and I know they are asserting that they are still a good employer. Then I would like them to show that.
I've had a lot of loyalty to the GDST over the last few years. Everybody who works here really, really throws themselves into it.
We're all about the girls. We put the girls first, always.
We give a lot of our time just in terms of extracurricular or one-to-one with girls, or giving our time to the parents. And I do it all gladly because it's got a purpose to it, it's got a meaning. And that's why we feel rewarded in our work.
I've moved over from the state sector. I've been in the school for about 5 years and I absolutely love what I do and I'm very, very happy.
I am an alumna. I did my GCSEs and A-levels here. I did the first part of my PGC, my teacher training here. I am a parent and I'm a teacher. You were encouraged to learn, and for girls to be encouraged to learn anywhere, especially then, was amazing.
I was a scholarship girl, so a lot of the people alongside me were from a different socio-economic class to what I was. But I mean, being there gave me a lot of those kind of social skills and confidence. And that whole the sky's the limit thing that they instilled in us, it stayed with me for life. When NEU members told me that they're being wrenched out of the teachers' pension scheme, I was horrified.
I went to a GDST school myself, actually, and I found the GDST to be such a supportive organisation over the years, both as a girl and then as an employee. I needed to go part-time a few years ago, and you know, the GDST bent over backwards to make that happen for me. So that's the GDST I know and love.
I was very lucky to get a scholarship to go to my school, and I was able to learn in a way I didn't think I was going to be able to. I was greatly supported by my teachers, and that's why I'm here today, because the teachers were the best thing about my school, and I think it's really wrong what the GDST is attempting to do to them. The GDST prides itself on instilling confidence in girls, and the teaching profession is one which has a large amount of women. So the idea that it would ask these women not to stand up for themselves, when that's what we were taught throughout our entire education, is absolutely beyond me.
We are role models for the pupils we teach. And so we need to stand up for ourselves. This decision to leave the TPS would adversely affect women more than men. I'm part-time at the moment, I have 2 small children. So for me, leaving the TPS at this point means that my career average pension is actually not a career average at all.
We're still not on equal pay in this school anyway, as it is. We're overrepresented by male staff in positions of responsibility. And yes, I think that obviously this just deepens the divide, which is completely the wrong message that we should be sending to the girls.
They're talking about long-term sustainability of the GDST, but schools are teachers. If the teachers leave, you haven't got long-term sustainability.
If it were to go through, I couldn't actually afford to stay in the GDST school.
Realistically, I'd probably leave.
I wouldn't stay. I've got a really good track record. I'm good at my job, and I love my job, but there's a lot of opportunities out there.
I'm now questioning whether or not I can gamble my financial security against the enjoyment of my job, which is an awful thing to be considering.
In 2011, we fought to keep independent school teachers in the teachers' pension scheme, and we won that. This is why this dispute is so important. If a big employer with a chain of schools like the GDST can leave the teachers' pension scheme, that gives a green light for that to happen all over the independent sector.
I'm the least militant person at all, but I realise that this is so incredibly important, and if we don't muster ourselves together and really fight this, it's a lost cause.
NEU members have successfully resisted proposals to leave the teachers' pension scheme in over 60 independent schools.
You're not doing this alone. You're doing this collectively with your other colleagues, with the weight and authority of the 450,000 members of the National Education Union behind you.
Other than your fantastic trade unions, there are many others like myself that will stand up for you, will stand up for what's right.
Take the plunge, and it would send a really clear message to management that you can't just do this, you can't just undercut people.
We've had a remarkable indicative ballot. 93% of the members who are eligible to vote have voted, and of those, 93% have voted yes. That was the indicative ballot. It has no legal force. What we're going to be doing now is sending you ballot papers. You must open the envelope, vote yes, and return the vote.